Okay, okay, we gotta be quiet because fourth block is listening to us. Hi, I miss you guys. Be good. Okay. Oh, gracious. Okay. The title, Gains from Trade. How does trade, I want to do, guys, I only want this to be like 20 minutes, so let's go. How does trade make people better off? How does trade
Section 1.
make, people better off? I want to get this done because there's some other fun stuff that I want to do. It's a fun thing. Okay. In Nepal, you're going to read about this in your book. You're going to read about a guy. Are you taking notes on your computer? Okay. You're going to read about a guy in Nepal, and he grows his own food. He grows his own food, and he makes his own clothes, and he does everything himself. He is a subsistent farmer. Okay? Subsistent people do what they need to do for their lifestyle. Okay? So he lacks specialization. Okay? Specialization is our key word for this lesson. Specialization. Okay. Is Nepal known for its riches or its poverty? Poverty. Very good. Here's a quote about Nepal. The Nepalese do not perform their own services because they are poor. Rather, they are poor largely because they perform their own services. Do you understand? They don't do all of that stuff because they're poor. They're poor because they do all of that stuff. They don't specialize. The people in Nepal, they don't say, hey, let's all of us get together and we'll make beads. And let's all of us get together and we'll grow wheat. And let's all of us get together and we'll raise beef or whatever. Okay? Everybody's doing everything. Yes?
It's like no one needs the money to, like, they don't need that money to do the other stuff because they're already doing it, basically.
Well, okay, but they can't even afford it. So, like, they can't afford to pay a specialist. But one of the reasons why they can't afford to pay a specialist is because they're not specializing. So it's a vicious circle that's really hard to break out of. But if you can break out of it, that's when you can get the benefits from specialization in trade. Okay, so keep that guy in mind, the guy who does everything. Okay, because the guy who, like in Nepal, the guy who does everything for himself cannot benefit from trade. Okay, so keep that in the back of your mind as we move on here. Okay, section 1, how does specialization lead to economic independence? So we're going to write specialization lead to economic independence. Okay, how do we get there? Societies that emphasize self-sufficiency are less productive. Societies that emphasize, like Nepal, self-sufficiency are less productive. Okay, does that statement make sense to you? If I am busy doing everything, I am going to be less productive. If I have to gather the eggs and make the cake and clean the house and make my clothes and go down to the creek and wash my clothes and all of this stuff, I'm going to be able to get less done. But if I could focus my whole day on raising chickens and collecting eggs, I could collect a lot of eggs. And then I could trade with the person who bakes all the cakes. Got it? Okay. Why is this? Well, because I just talked about it. Specialization improves productivity. So a big S improves productivity. That is a very important point. Okay. Adam Smith. Who is he?
Father of economics.
Very good. The father of economics. Capitalism. Very good. he was big on this. This, he said, division of labor, muy importante. Okay? You don't have to do everything. With industrialization and the turn of the century, feudalism was falling in Europe. Not everybody had to be a farmer anymore. Farms got bigger. Small farmers got pushed out of the way. Where did all of the small farmers go? They went to the factories. Good. And they specialized. Because now in the factories, is each guy building an entire thing on his own? No. What's happening?
They're doing different parts.
It's an assembly line. It's mass production. If I can just focus on putting this knob into this wedge and then pass it on, I can do a lot of knob wedges, right? It's a lot easier. Okay, as productivity goes up, okay, here's a question, why don't all societies specialize?
They can't afford it.
Oh, who said that? Did you say that?
I didn't mean to say that.
Yes, you did. Population density and isolation from markets. So it's much more along Asher's lines. Population density and isolation from market. The further you are away, the less likely you're going to be able to do this. It's the cities versus the highlands. And this is all AP Huge. So if this is at all interesting to you, take that class because that class is awesome.
Do you teach that class?
Okay? I did this year.
Or you're not going to next year?
I don't know if I'm teaching it next year. Okay, what elements made it so that people could go more into the cities? The advancement of what?
Transportation.
Good, the advancement of transportation. Advancement of transportation. Okay? It allowed people to go to the cities, but it also allowed for what? If I'm a cotton farmer, how does advancement of transportation,
Like how far you can take your product or even stuff you do on the farm.
right? If I'm a cotton farmer and transportation has advanced, now I can get my cotton to more people, which means that more people don't have to do what? Grow cotton, which means that more people can what? Specialize in something else. And how does that benefit me?
Then you're the only one doing the cotton growing.
Because I might be one of the few doing the cotton, but how am I going to benefit from them specializing in something else? How else? Because I can now
Gain more profit.
trade with them. So I want tobacco, you want cotton. I can get you my cotton really quick and you can get me my tobacco really quick. So that I can not smoke, because smoking is bad. Yes?
What does advancement of transportation go under?
Oh, like right here. Okay. Okay, can I erase?
No.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody said no, and see, I listen.
Wait, no.
Okay.
Jeans.
Specialization encourages trade.
It starts again.
I'm gonna put a big S. Okay, what does the big S mean? Specialization encourages trade. When people specialize, they must trade. Why is that statement true? Why is this statement true? When people specialize, they must trade. Yes?
Because they have a lot of one thing, but they need other things in order to live their lives the best as possible. So if I just had like a lot of chicken, I can't live on eggs for the rest of my life. So they
Right.
can trade. Since you have such an abundance of one thing,
Baseballs.
some of that thing to get other things you need in your life.
Good. So that is exactly right. So if I have this quote on the test and I say explain this, you should be able to understand and explain when people specialize, they must trade. Okay? We trade with others because it frees up time. It frees up resources. Okay, we are better off when we specialize. Trade is a voluntary exchange. Okay? Voluntary exchange. If it's not voluntary, it's not trade. It's something else. You're being forced to do something. If I'm trading with Zach, he's voluntarily giving up something to me and I'm voluntarily giving up something to him in order to get what we want. We usually don't trade for what we don't want. Okay? Do you understand this right here? Trade is a voluntary exchange. How did trade happen in traditional economies? What was that called?
Barter.
Good. Barter. Okay? And then how does trade happen in a market?
Your money.
Right. You guys are brilliant. What a great class.
This is supposed to be a video.
Okay? Trade creates economic interdependence. We talk a lot about independence, but now this is interdependence. So, let's pretend that you had eggs and bacon and toast and orange juice and jam on your toast for breakfast, okay? It would have been very hard for you to provide all of that for yourself, okay? But if you look at your breakfast table, your eggs might come from Iowa, okay? Your orange juice comes from Florida, okay? Where do your hash browns and potatoes on your...
Idaho.
They come from Idaho. Where's your pork coming from? Your bacon? Nebraska, maybe, okay? Your toast is coming from the wheat fields of Kansas. Your coffee, did we do that one yet?
Nicaragua.
Okay. Colombia, Costa Rica, okay? Think about your breakfast. If I just write breakfast here and I draw an arrow up to interdependence, are you going to remember that story?
No.
Yes, we are interdependent. I am dependent on coffee producers for my coffee. I do not have a coffee tree in my backyard. I do not have a peeling coffee peeler machine. I do not have a coffee roaster. Okay? I do not do all of that. Yes?
Do you think it would be possible to plant one in your backyard?
Okay. So then you have to think, do I want to go through all of that for a cup of coffee? Or do I want to let somebody who, some people will say yes. Like my husband bought a pasta noodle making machine. And I'm like, why, bless, why? Why? You're right. Okay, well that's what he says. Only he says Amy. Amy, the noodles taste so much better when we make them from scratch. And I'm like, Todd, you go to the theater and get a box of pasta, right? It takes me 4 hours to make like pasta. It's ridiculous. Okay? So I'm like, please, let's just go to Barilla. They specialize in pasta, right? I will trade. Quiet.
Silence.
Maria.
I will trade my money that I make doing my specialty, which is teaching. I will trade my money with Barilla to get their Berea, to get their pasta.
Especially
Okay?
like the thing with the coffee, when you focus on one thing, it can also be more quality than
This
when
is
you do
true.
everything.
This is true. So you get quality in there. So again, time, resources, you can put quality here. Okay, guys, I need you to stick with me. I want to get through this. We do, let's see, do I want to talk about that? Well, how about this? Trade barriers. What are some examples of trade barriers? What would hinder trade?
Language.
And we do it. Okay, I'm sorry. Governmental trade barriers.
Is it called like?
Yes?
Like our relationships with other countries.
Okay, our relationships with other countries. So,
Tariffs. Do something that's happening, like a war or something.
okay, very good. So,
Conflict with other
like,
countries.
okay, I'm talking about stuff that the government does to stop trade or to make trade harder. What does it, what?
Tariff.
Tariffs. Okay, I did not ask my question very well. You gave a good answer, and so did you. You gave good answers to a different question. So, tariffs are barriers to trade. Okay, I say that as a fact, but I also say as a fact that they help protect trade. How can both of those statements be true?
People will be taking advantage.
Pardon?
People won't be taking advantage of the situation.
Okay, people won't be taken advantage of, so tariffs protect. When we put tariffs on other countries' products, who are we protecting?
Us.
We're protecting our products. Okay? So, tariffs can make trade difficult, but it can also protect trade. Do you understand that? You see how it can be both things at once? Okay. And then also Congress. Who's in charge? Well, I just gave you the answer. What is Congress in charge of? What kind of trade?
International. Intranational.
No.
Okay.
But you just got the national part wrong.
Intra-global.
Interstate.
Milky Way.
Interstate trade. So, to protect trade in our country, we gave Congress the authority to govern interstate trade. Okay? So, when Virginia wants to trade with Maryland, they have to follow certain rules for protection and for promotion. Does everybody understand that? Okay, I'm going to erase. We have one other thing to talk about, but it's kind of detailed, so it's going to take like 10 minutes.
That's the best.
Okay. Section 2.
Whoa.
Okay. How do people and nations gain from specialization and trade? Okay? This is it. We're only doing this. Okay? But it's not, you gotta stick with me because I know you can get it. We're gonna inject a little bit of math, okay? And some graphs. Okay. I know. Okay. So in your book, it's called The Castaways. So let me start by talking about it now. Dilemma. And I had a YouTube video to talk to you about, or to show you, but it involved, like Elizabeth said, there's probably things that are not appropriate. Okay. Absolute advantage. Okay. We have two castaways on an island. One of them's name is Crusoe and one of them's name is Hawkins. Okay? We're talking about that book.
Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
So there's two guys on an island, okay? They're each gonna have a job. One of them is gonna have the absolute advantage. And this is a vocabulary word tonight. The absolute advantage is the condition that exists when someone can produce a good or service using fewer resources than someone else. Okay? The condition that exists when someone can do it better than someone else.
With less resources.
Right. So resources, energy, time, and then stuff. But don't forget that energy and time is a resource. That is your absolute advantage, okay? Comparative advantage. And these are important. Comparative advantage is the ability to perform a task at a lower opportunity cost than someone else. Performing a task with a lower opportunity cost. What is opportunity cost again?
The best thing you give up.
The best thing you give up, okay? So my opportunity cost is what I give up